Good morning, dear students. Today I am going to talk about the introduction to the clothing construction, sewing machine, its parts and their uses. So now I will talk about the clothing construction. How the clothing construction process begins. What is the process of clothing construction? So clothing construction is a process of creating clothes with a customized fit and style. So it includes this designing and sewing, knitting, weaving or other methods. It can be done by hand or by machine. So it depends on the type of the garment required. So now let us move on to the clothing construction process. So where it starts. Generally the clothing construction will start from the designing the garments. First, every time it starts with the design development process. So according to the customer needs or it may be for the individual purpose. So it generally starts with the design development process followed by the fabric selection, the type of fabric suitable for the particular design. It may be depending on the season also. So season, even the end use for which purpose we wanted to create that particular garment. So the quality of the fabric, the color of the fabric, the texture, everything will be considered when selecting the fabric. So followed by the fabric selection, we need to focus on the pattern preparation. The preparation of pattern is nothing but the converting the design into the paper pattern pieces. Like it's a kind of template making for the particular design. So the next step is the grading. Grading is based on the sizes. Generally it is not required for the customized garment designing. The grading is only concerned when we are dealing with the mass production, like ready to wear garment industry. We require the grading. Grading is nothing but the enlarging or reducing the designs as per the client needs, like from S size to the XL size. If we have one pattern like mid range of that particular size, suppose if we have the L size, so the L size can be reduced to M and S. The remaining it can be increased to the L and double XL. So after that fabric preparation, once our pattern is ready, now we will move on to the fabric preparation. Before cutting, every time fabric need to be prepared, it need to be washed and ironed. Especially in case of cottons, it need to be pre-shrinked before cutting. Then only we can get accurate and stable and smooth fabric construction with the, if we follow the fabric preparation step. The next one is the cutting process. So cutting is nothing but the placing the patterns, like planning the layout based on the suitability, based on the design. So according to the print or lines, so we have to follow the layout suitable for the cutting. And the next one is the assembling of the garments. So while assembling the garments, we need to, that means assembly is nothing but the coordinating the pieces. Suppose when we are making a shirt, so we need to cut the collar separately, cuffs separately, sleeves separately, and we need to assemble it together. And after that, stitching is the final stage of the clothing construction. In that, all the garment parts are stitched together permanently with the help of the sewing machine. Okay, now before moving on to the clothing construction and sewing machine, if we want to have a proper sewing, if we want to do the perfect sewing, we require the supporting material also. The tools which are very important for the clothing construction. Without the help of the tools, we cannot do the sewing. So there are tools which are categorized under different categories. Now let us see this marking tools. The first one is the marking tools. If we observe the marking tools, there are different marking tools are there, like tailor's chalk, pencil marking, tracing wheel, carbon paper. Generally, traditionally the tailors will be using tailor's chalk. That is the simple chalk piece form. It is in triangle and different colors we can see. Even nowadays we are getting erasable pens, erasable pencils. white pencil will be used on dark backgrounds. So like that there are many kind of pencils are available, pens are available, heat erasable, water erasable pens are available, and tracing wheel will be used to transfer from pattern to the fabric. Even carbon paper also, the carbon papers will be many types are also we are getting. One is coated with the wax, the other one is simple see-through papers like tracing papers we are getting. The tracing papers will be suitable for the pattern making, and carbon papers will be suitable for transferring the lines onto the fabric. Now coming to the measuring tools. So why we use measuring tools? The measuring tools will be used generally for the measuring of the length, width and circumference. So there are different areas of the garments. Even before making the garment, the person's measurements need to be measured, like vertical measurements and circumference measurements need to be measured. For that purpose we require the measuring tools. The measuring tools will be measuring tape, rulers of different sizes and different ranges, and they will be made with plastics and woods. And L square, the L square will be used for the marking the right angles, like when we are marking parallel and perpendicular lines at a time to mark the right angles. To cut the bias also we require the L square. With the help of the L square we can directly get the bias angle. Even the hem marker is also available, because when we mark manually sometimes we may misplace the markings. With the help of the hem marker we can mark clearly, like uniformly we can mark it. So these marking tools will be, these measuring tools will be useful for measuring the hems. Now we'll move on to the cutting tools. The cutting tools are used for the cutting the fabrics. Generally we have scissors, shears. Even in shears also the scissors will be used for simple paper cutting, pattern cutting. The shears will be used for the fabric cutting. The difference between the scissors and shears is scissors only suitable for fabric cutting. It is small with the equal handles, but in case of shears it is heavy weight and the handles will be different. Each handle will be different in sizes. And even shears also we have like pinking shears. The pinking shears will be with the zigzag edges to prevent the raveling the fabric edges and seams. The pinking shears will be used. Along with this manual there are electrical devices also will be used, like rotary cutter, electronic scissors and band knife. These things will be used in the purpose. The next tools are sewing tools. So what are the sewing tools we require? Generally if we want to sew something we require the needle, sewing aids. What are the sewing aids? The sewing needle will be the sewing aid, the thread will be the sewing aid, and sewing machine will be. So these are the sewing tools which help the person for the sewing. The next one is the pressing tools. The pressing is the last stage of the clothing construction. Before packing, the pressing will be done. For pressing, we require the ironing table and ironing board and iron boxes. Even in iron boxes also we are getting many type of iron boxes, like manual iron boxes. Previously traditionally they used to use with the charcoal, but nowadays we are using electrical iron box. The electrical iron boxes also with steam, without steam we are getting it. Even sleeve board also. Sleeve board means if we want to press any small components or small areas of the garment we require the sleeve board. And seam rollers also there. In market nowadays we are getting latest steam irons, garment irons that directly can be used on the hanger. We can hang the garment and directly we can pass the steam over that particular garments. These kind of steam irons will be used in the shopping malls, especially because in shopping malls many people will go for trial the garment. After that many creases will be formed. So whenever we go to shopping mall automatically we see, okay, it's like a new garment which is directly opened from the package. So with the help of the steam irons that can be removed, the creases can be removed. So coming to the general tools, the general tools are like pins. The pins will secure the patterns, like all will be used for the making the holes for buttons, button holes, and nowadays in market many loop turners will be used for the getting proper shape in the collars, not only for the collars, if you want to make any small loops, the loop turners will be useful. So these are the ancillary and as well as the general tools. Along with this, a proper good and sturdy cutting table is also a very important tool for completing the clothing construction. So now we will move on to the types of the sewing machine. So now we are talking about the sewing machine part. So before moving on to the sewing machine part, we should know about the watting sewing machine. Sewing machine is a mechanical or electrical device which is used to stitch the fabric and other materials together with the help of the thread. So it is commonly used in the garment construction, as we all know. Generally the people will use for home purpose, the tailors will use domestic models, the home people will use domestic models, even in industrial people will use the high-end models. So in sewing machines there are two categories. One is for the domestic purpose, the other one is for industrial purpose. The domestic one, we cannot use it in the industry purpose because the domestic machines we cannot run for the longer hours and we cannot stitch many layers of the fabrics in the domestic machine. Not only that, with the help of the industrial machines, we have specialized features like overlocking and embroidery. There are many variations will be available in the industrial machines. Suppose if we think about finishing one garment with the industrial machine, in industry each and every component of the garment will be stitched with the different type of the machine, like suitable machinery. But if we want to stitch one shirt at our home, we will use only whatever the machine we are having, we will use that and complete it. But in case of industry, each and every part will be stitched on that particular machine, like sleeve attachment will be on different machine, like cuff attachment will be on different machine. The buttons also will be stitched on the button making machine. Button holes also will be stitched on the button hole making machine. The bar tacking will be done, blind needle work will be done. So like that there are different machineries will be available in the industry. But now we will see what are the sewing machine parts in detail. What are the parts? So before moving on to the sewing machine, now I am going to explain the parts in the local machine, like domestic machine. The more or less similar type of parts will be there in the industrial machine also, but it may be little lesser ones because of the advanced versions. It may be the parts may be little less for the outside view. So that's why I wanted to show the domestic model. Now I will explain the parts of the sewing machine along with their functions. So the sewing machine will have different parts. Now coming to the, here you can see the numbers which are given on the machine line diagram. That numbers which is already explained with the blue color. You can see the highlighter one here. So the spool pin, the first one is the spool pin which is used to hold the thread in a proper place. Generally you guys are already completed your fundamentals of clothing construction, you know how to operate the machine. So the spool pin will be used to hold the thread in a position. The next one, if you move from the spool pin to the thread guide, this is the thread guide. The second one will be the thread guide. The thread guide will be used to hold the thread in a position, and also it guides to the different parts of the machine. So coming to the next one, here you can observe the third one. It is a tension disc. The tension disc which will work with the simple mechanism, like where two concave discs are put together with the convex sides facing each other. So the thread passes between these two, in between these two. The tension of the thread is adjusted with the nut. Here you can see the nut, okay, which decreases the pressure on the disc. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. The next one is the take up lever. Here it is the take up lever. So if you observe very closely, The take up lever, one end of the take up lever will have the small hole, so through which the thread is passes. So whenever the lever moves down and up positions, automatically the stitch is formed. So the next one is the needle bar. Here you can see the needle bar. This is the fifth one, needle bar. So this is the steel rod which holds the needle at one place with the help of the clamp. So at the end of the needle rod, the needle will be placed with the secured with the help of the needle clamp. The next one is the bobbin case. Generally the bobbin case will be inside of the machine, that I cannot show in this image, that's why I have put it this side. You can see this is the bobbin case. So this moves in position to catch up the top thread, and to form the stitch, the needle is lowered into the bobbin chamber. So we'll move on to the other parts of the sewing machine. So coming to the other part of the sewing machine, here you can see the pressure foot, the down one, the steel one. This is the pressure foot. The numbers are given here. The pressure foot is attached to the pressure bar, so it holds the fabric firmly in position when it is lowered. So that means automatically it will hold the fabric in a position. So the next one, here you can see the small rod, that is the pressure foot lifter. So this is the lever attached to the pressure bar for raising and lowering the pressure foot. Whenever we wanted to take out the cloth from the pressure foot, we need to lift the pressure foot lifter. So the next one is the stitch regulator. Here you can see the stitch regulator. The stitch regulator controls the length of the stitches. So if we wanted to have gathers, we can have the number 5. If we wanted to stitch like moderate, medium, we can have the number 3. Up to 5 numbers we will have the numbers on the stitch regulator. So some machines will have the regulators for the reverse stitching also. If this is the normal domestic sewing machine, in this we can have that facility, like if we completely put it down at the 0 to -5 also will be available in this. If we pull it to the -5, automatically it will stitches the reverse direction. But in case of industrial machines will have the separate setting. There we have the button for rotating and back stitching purpose. The next one is the bobbin winder. Here we can use for bobbin winding process. In industrial machines and domestic machines will have it here in this. Some machines have an option that automatically stops when the bobbin is full. The next one is the flywheel. This is the flywheel. Generally the flywheel will be used for the rotating the machine. So when we want to start and stop the mechanism of the machine, automatically we can rotate the wheel with our hand. So this 10th one is for the bobbin winding and 11th one is for the flywheel. So if we see the clutch or thumb screw, generally the thumb screw and clutch will be inside of the right side of the flywheel. If we observe here, it will be seen in the right side of the machine. So generally it engages and disengages the stitch mechanism. Okay, next one is the side plate. Here you can see the side plate. So side plate is a rectangular plate which can be slide open to remove and put the bobbin and bobbin case inside of the machine. So coming to the needle plate, here you can see the semicircular needle plate. So needle plate is in a semicircular plate which allows to pass the needle to catch up the bobbin thread. So here you can see, observe the hole also. Okay, next one is the feed dog. Feed dog will be inside of this, exactly below the pressure foot. So feed dog will have the set of teeth fitted below this needle plate. Generally it helps to move the cloth forward while sewing. Next one is the face plate. That means the face of the machine will be covered with this plate. So it will be removed to oil the different parts of the machine, like needle bar, pressure bar, and thread take up bar, and any other joints can be oiled by removing this plate. The next one is the 17 one. Here you can see this, that is the spool pin for the bobbin winding. If we wanted to wind the bobbin, so the spool will be placed here for the winding for the bobbin. The next one is the 18th one. Here I have included only top portion of the machine, but as a community science students, you will be knowing about the what is threadle. Threadle is nothing but the foot operated pedal. With the help of the threadle, we can use the domestic sewing machines. Even some domestic sewing machines also will be run with the help of the electrical machines. The 19th one is the Pitman rod. So the rod which is connected to the upper and lower portion of the machine, like stitch mechanism and pedal. So with the help of the Pitman rod, with the screw, it will be connected. The machine will be moved. So with this we have completed the parts of the sewing machine. Now we will move on to the uses of sewing machine. What are the uses with the sewing machine? Where we use the sewing machine? The sewing machine will be used for the garment construction, general garment construction, like in our home also. Whatever we wanted to stitch with the machine, it can be useful, because in olden days the people used to attach the pieces with the help of the hand sewing practices. The hand sewing practices, it is not at all durable and it takes time. So with the help of the sewing machine, the garment construction made very easy and possible for each and everybody. And some machines, specialized machines, will be used for the attaching the parts like collars, sleeves, cuffs and pockets. And few machines are suitable for the seams and seam finishes. Sometimes, like blind stitch machine, we wanted to sew that particular area, but with the invisible stitches. So with the hand it is not possible, though if we go for slip hemming kind of things, but the durability will be not more like the sewing machine stitches. So for edge finishes, seam finishes, we require the specialized machinery, like over lock stitch is one kind of the edge finishing. And decorative stitches, if we want to have like embroideries, the machine embroidery also we can have it. Like if we want to repair or alter our garments at home also, we require the sewing machine. Along with that, the mass production ready to wear garment industry will be using more of machinery, specialized machinery. So with this we are going to complete our class. So as a summary, what we have learned in this class. So we have learned about the introduction to clothing construction. What is clothing construction? So how the garments will be made, what are the process were there, like in making the garment, like from the design development process to the stitching, and what are the tools will support the garment construction, like different types of measuring, marking, cutting, pressing tools, like what are the sewing machine types will be available in the market. And after that, the parts of the sewing machine, so which parts are there and what are their uses, and uses of the sewing machine also we have learned. So this notes you guys can take from your fundamentals of clothing construction and prepare well for tomorrow's exam. These are the reference books which I have taken.